Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor.
Law firms will take this as a retainer.
What? It must be a law firm where they hungry as hell. Now you gonna help me with this parole I'm dealing with?
Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor. With one taste of our premium blends of all-natural ingredients, herbs, and spices, you'll fall in love with meat all over again. Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce collection is made up of 2 zesty flavors, original and spicy. There's only one way to bring order back to barbecuing. Just add Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce and seasoning, and you be the judge.
Testing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Guys, let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Happy Monday, Man Up Monday. So, thank you, Southern Belle. I did not forget. I actually put it on a website an hour ago. So, yes. I made a mental note, but I do need to start writing down my to-do list before every live stream. Oh, thank you, Hilda. She says loud and clear. Yes. Pray, trust, obey, repeat. Yeah. All right, guys. So listen, please hit the like button. Please share this stream. In the live stream, I did pin my birthday registry. Listen, my birthday was last week, Monday on the 7th. But I said, even before my birthday, that I am celebrating my birthday. This is my birthday season. So I'm celebrating my birthday for the whole month of October. With that said, click on the registry and buy me a present, gift card, or whatever items that I have on there. Or you could just send me a Cash App, $ Dana with the data. I will be scrolling it across the screen. Oh, special shout out to everybody on X, because I am streaming on X. There you go, Cash App, $ Dana with the data. But I like presents. Thank you, Hello Mels. That sound good. Good. We're gonna have a good show. Waiting for the judge. Let me text him and see where he at, because I actually started the show an extra 10 minutes late because he was running late, but he always tell me he's running late at the last minute. Let me see. Are you home? Text. See if he's able to reply. I mean, if he's driving, he won't be able to reply. So if he doesn't reply to me in about 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes, I'm going to call and see where he's at. But he will be up shortly. So what we're going to talk about tonight? Got to talk about Kamala Harris, her black agenda for black men. Trust me, it's bullshit. It doesn't exist. It's more word salad. Of course, we got to talk about her interview with Roland Martin. He got a sit down 101. I think this is probably his second, or maybe this is his first. I think this is his first interview. But she granted him an interview. But my thing is, you kiss so much ass, you finally got an interview. About damn time. And of course, now they're saying the so-called third assassination attempt on Donald Trump was a hoax. It wasn't real. I think it took place at Coachella. We're going to dive a little bit into that. Oh, we got a Fannie Willis update. We got breaking news, and best believe the House Committee, the Judicial House Committee, they should most likely be streaming live tomorrow. And Nathan Wade has to bring his ass and sit in front of the House Committee. So I pray to God that they will be filming it, streaming it live, because if that's the case, I will be streaming it live from my platform. So we got a Fannie Willis update. It's been a minute since we talked about Fannie Willis. And she intentionally has been staying out the spotlight. You know, I haven't seen her. We haven't seen her make appearances in churches. Guys, if you live in Georgia, particularly Fulton County, can you let me know what is going on with her? Is she campaigning? Because the heat is on, right? My eyes is kind of going up towards the TV because the Jets is on right now, and they fired the Jets head coach last weekend after they lost. So Aaron Rodgers has no excuse. You can't blame the head coach. So if you lose this week and you keep losing, you're the problem, dude. You're the problem. Dana, if the cash app is a small amount, is that okay? Girl is on a budget, but I love it. Sure. I don't put a limit. Listen, if you want to donate, you know what I'm saying, because of my platform and support, everything is appreciated. Thank you, Avenger, the ancestors. Love you, Queen Dana. Keep up the good work. Appreciate you. So, guys, if you want to send in a super chat, $ button is right there in the live chat, or Cash App, $ Dana with the data, or you could click my birthday registry, buy me a gift, hit the like button. That's free. Share the video. That's free too. What else? Obama, he's still getting dragged, and rightfully so. But I want to talk about it. I want to put a little spin on Obama content conversation tonight. Also want to bring up Congressional Black Caucus because I said to the judge, this was about 2 weeks ago, that I wanted to, probably 10 minutes during the show or 15 minutes to kind of break down the Congressional Black Caucus and just really talk about how useless that they are, really. They're useless to Black Americans. But I wanted to kind of give a history, let the judge give a quick history lesson on the conception of the Congressional Black Caucus and the reason why it was created and the purpose for it and why we really don't need it today, because they don't do anything for Black Americans, right? And today is Columbus Day, i.e. Indigenous Day. So which day is it? And actually, I'm gonna put that poll in the chat. Do you guys celebrate Columbus Day or Indigenous People Day? Did Columbus discover America? No. However, they made it a holiday here. And public policy, it was made a holiday by public policies. See what happens when you know how to work the political system and get public policy passed? You can get holidays, just like we got Juneteenth, public policy. And now we have Indigenous. Of course, Kamala made some statements about Indigenous Day versus Columbus Day. There are people who are upset, particularly Italians, right? So, yeah, do you guys celebrate Columbus or Indigenous Day? Either way, somebody had to die in order for us to be the United States of America. It's a harsh thing to say, but it's a real cold reality. Yeah. In order for you to be mighty, somebody else has to suffer. That's just the way of life. It is. Thank you, Walter. Keep up the good work, Dana. Thank you. Let's call the judge and see where he's at. He claimed 15 minutes, but that was actually 20 minutes ago. Hello? Where you at? Okay. We're waiting. All right. So he's coming. What can I start with? You know what? I could start with this before the judge come up, because I don't have to talk about this with the judge here. But I know yes. It was this. Just a little sidebar. How do you guys feel about Elon Musk and his robots? Here we go. So Elon Musk created a robot person.
Optimus. It's insane. It's even talking.
Hi to my friend Josh. Josh? Where's Josh?
Right here.
Oh, hello, John.
How are you? That's crazy. I'm talking to a robot. From San Jose. Probably from where you were born in Silicon Valley.
Wonderful. Where do you live in San Jose? Do you live in Almond Valley or do you live in Santa Teresa area?
No, I live in Los Gatos.
Los Gatos. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Very nice area.
Where do you live?
Beautiful hiking I hear out there.
There is. Where do you live?
I live in Palo Alto at the current moment.
Figures. Yeah, this is awesome.
That's where they train us. That's where we get our builds, and that's where we work with a wonderful group of people.
What's the hardest thing about being a robot?
Trying to learn how to be as human as you guys are. And that's something I try harder to do every day, and I hope that you will help us become that.
Well, awesome. Nice to meet you, Optimus.
You as well.
Okay, so that was Optimus, a robot built by Elon Musk. We robots. He sound human. He has a personality of a human being. And like he said, I'm trying to be as human as possible.
A robot with arms and legs instead of a robot with wheels. And we've made a lot of progress with Optimus. And as you can see, we started up with someone in a robot suit, sort of down, and then we've progressed dramatically year after year. So if you extrapolate this, you're really going to have something spectacular, something that anyone could own. So you can have your own personal R2-D2 C-3PO. But fundamentally, at scale, the Optimus robot, you should be able to buy an Optimus robot for, I think, probably $20,000 to $30,000 long term. So, and what can it do? It'll basically do anything you want. So it can be a teacher, babysit your kids. It can walk your dog, mow your lawn, get the groceries, just be your friend, serve drinks, whatever you can think of, it will do. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. And I think this will be the biggest product ever of any kind. Yeah. Because I think everyone, of the 8 billion people of Earth, I think everyone's going to want their Optimus buddy. And there's going to be maybe two, and then they'll be producing products and services. I predict, actually, provided we address risks of digital superintelligence, 80% probability of a good outcome. Look on the bright side. The cup is 80% full. The cost of products and services will decline dramatically, and basically anyone will be able to have any products and services they want. One of the things we wanted to show tonight was that Optimus is not a canned video. It's not walled off. The Optimus robots will walk among you. Please be nice to the Optimus robots. So you'll be able to walk right up to them, and they'll serve drinks at the bar.
So Elon Musk, yes, he is doing too much. And he's saying, please be nice to the robots. Well, what would happen if we're not nice? Because there are a lot of human beings who are not nice. So what will happen? Will the robots hurt us? Because I'm pretty sure they're going to be 1,000 times more stronger than humans. So what will happen if we're not nice to the robots? And then he said 80% of AI is good, but it is that 20% that may not be so good. Well, that's a problem because hell, anything over 5% can take over. We have the 1% of the wealthy that controls the majority of the wealth in this nation alone. So what exactly are we doing? This is not a good thing. I don't want a robot babysitting my kids, well, my grandkids. I don't. Why would any human being want that? That is crazy. Elon Musk is doing too much. And a part of me, I feel like he needs to be stopped to a certain degree. So this is a robot playing with humans. No. No, thank you. Oh, and this is a new type of vehicle that we should be seeing on the street probably in 10 years. Which is crazy. So where are we going? And honestly, this is probably going to be created less than 10 years, probably within 5 years. So we're going to be seeing, I don't even know what, just don't, it doesn't look like a truck. It looks like, yeah, a spaceship that it could hold 20 people. It doesn't have wheels. So how, I don't know. It's just going to be gliding on the street. Well, who's driving it? A human being, or is it automated? Is it a robot? Is it an AI driving this thing? So what are we really talking about here? Elon Musk is doing way too much, dude. Doing way too much. You're doing too much. But I want to ask you guys, how do you feel about the damn We robot? Optimus is all algorithm. That's a problem. That is a problem. People make these movies, the Terminators, aliens, all this stuff. They don't just make it to be making it because there are people who are really trying to bring stuff like that to life. You know, they're already trying to build a colony on Mars. They're trying to colonize Mars. Yeah. So when do you say enough is enough? By the way, Mother Nature will always win. Mother Nature will always win. All right, let's see what else. So when a judge comes on, we're either going to get into most likely Kamala Harris or Donald Trump assassination attempt. Most likely, I think I want to get into Kamala Harris. AI has a long way to go. It depends on what they want AI to do, because AI is already doing a lot right now. But it has a long way to go for what? It depends on what exactly you want AI to do. And the more robots we have to do more of human things, the more lazier we're going to get, which means we're going to eventually be obsolete. Yeah, because Chat GBT is limited. I stopped my prescription because Gronk on X, that is the bomb. That is so much better than Chat GBT. So much better. So yeah. So it's a good question. It's a question. Actually, let me create a poll. What should the poll be? You know, is AI. Let's see. I'll hit the like button again later. Okay. Is We robot good for humanity? Yes. No. Is we robot good for humanity? There go the poll right there. Let us, I'm going to put no. Let me share this here. Actually, what is he doing? Come on. Let me ask if he even got the link. I want to make sure you got the link. Okay. All right. So he should be coming up. So let's get into Kamala Harris real quick. Not so much into her. I want to talk about Sonny Austin. So we all know last week when Barack Obama got on the campaign trail in Pittsburgh and he made his speech and he was talking about specifically Black men. And that it wasn't during his speech so much. It was at an event where he was doing a Black vote outreach. And he was basically calling Black men brothers and saying that Black men are misogynists and there should be no excuses, that you should be supporting Kamala the same way you supported me, yada, yada, yada. Well, they've been dragging his Black ass, well, half Black ass, from since last week, Thursday, up until today, and rightfully so. And then now you have Sonny Austin from The View disrespecting and belittling Black men with her remarks.
But, we can't poll people's hearts and we can't see into people's hearts. And so when we're looking at these polls and we're looking at who is voting for Trump, you've got 53% of white women that voted for him in 2020. We've got to reach those women. We've got to reach those ridiculous, crazy Black men that did vote for Trump. We've got to reach those people. We've got to reach the Cuban men in Miami that overwhelmingly voted for Trump. Those ridiculous, crazy Black men that did vote for Trump.
Why is she calling Black men ridiculous, crazy Black men? That's crazy. She didn't disrespect the Cubans, the whites, the Hispanics. She didn't disrespect no other group in her little speech here but Black men. Why are Black men crazy and ridiculous? Because they choose to exercise their right. But is it only a right for us to have when we're only voting Democrat?
On us like Kamala.
What are you doing? I didn't. You were talking, but you weren't up yet. What are you doing?
Well, when they're trying to push Black,
can we say hello? Can we say hello first?
Hi. When they're trying to push Black representation that's of the nature of Kamala Harris, Imhoff, then everybody associated with her gets downed because she's not a very good something to represent you. She's a slut.
Yeah, stop. All right, stop.
I mean, really. Let's put it this way.
We already talked about that. Like, just
I
don't
know, but
that.
SLUT, I'll just spell it out and leave it at that. Now, bottom line is that's why Black men are disrespected, because this is supposed to be our representative and we're not going to allow it. The next thing is check this out. They want to get on us about supporting this person because she's Black, which she's not. But we're supposed to vote for her just because she's Black and there's an evil somebody white who acts like a man. Well, she's married to a white man. So if she can marry a white man and give it up to him, then we can vote for a white man who is most likely to govern a lot better than her. So it's an even deal. You give it up to a white guy, we'll give it up to a white guy, but it's our votes. You give up your nookie. So there you go. It's even. We don't owe her a damn thing because she hasn't delivered anything to us, not even respect. She panned. It's just an insult.
All right. Well, first of all, I wanted you to come in and say hello. I was in the middle of talking. You were backstage. So it's like you're just coming in the middle of something.
Yeah, well, I heard the remarks from.
You heard the remarks, but you weren't on the stage. So if I bring you up, say hello to people.
Hi there.
Yeah.
My thing, black man thing, we don't always find ourselves matching our model of complacency. But anyway, this Karen wants to talk about how a black man's supposed to be. I could get all kinds.
Oh, she's black. She's not a Karen. She's black.
What? Who?
Who are you talking about?
Whatever that woman was. With
yeah, she's a black woman, Sunny Austin.
I never heard of her.
She's on The View. She's black and she's Hispanic. Taino at that.
Well, okay. You know, I just a couple of days ago filled out a federal form. First thing was Hispanic or Latino or non-Latino. And I've put the Latino no. I put non-Latino yes. So if she wants to cover in that, and since if you fill that box out, you don't have to fill out the rest of it about what else you happen to be. She's not part of me if she wants to go there. So I don't care. Never heard of her. And I don't watch.
You don't watch The View. So
I don't watch that nitwit garbage. Just like I don't watch, what is it? That bunch of little rainbow essence bunch. The Breakfast Club, yeah. Don't watch that either.
Yeah, no. You don't watch that either. But you've heard of The View. Whoopi Goldberg. She's I've
heard Whoopi Goldberg. She's not bad people, but
then there's the other ladies, and Sunny Austin is one of them. But
I haven't had an urge to watch since, what was that lady, the older one that died? It said she got asked.
Oh, Barbara Walters.
Barbara Walters.
Yes.
She got asked, when are we going to have our first gay president? She said we already have had him.
Who said that? Barbara Walters?
Yeah. She got asked walking out of the studio one day, when do you think we're going to have our first gay president? She said, you already got him. She was talking about Obama.
She said that?
The one that died, if that's the one we're talking about.
I didn't know Barbara said that. I thought she was, well, she could still support Obama, but maybe she knew something. Well, she probably knew a lot.
Well, you get in Hollywood and you get up in the big ratings areas, you find out a lot because people subsume.
Okay, so they're saying Joan Rivers said that.
Joan Rivers, yeah.
Okay. Joan Rivers was never on The View, though.
Well, not the, what was it she was on?
She had her own show, Joan Rivers.
Okay, well, that was the one.
Oh,
I don't pay attention to that garbage.
I was about to say, I didn't think Barbara Walters would say that. That is something Joan Rivers would say. She also said Michelle Obama was a man.
Hey, maybe she knows.
All right, so should we stick on Kamala because I wanted to?
I'd rather not.
Well, no, that's the main topic tonight.
Well, I know.
So should I go to Trump and then go back?
No, we might as well. That's like when you have you're into representing people tried with murder. You have to occasionally go down and look at an autopsy, and it's gruesome, but you got to do it. So what about the?
Okay, so
what about the?
Kamala Harris allegedly created a black agenda for black men.
No, screw her. She's never been with black men as either, unless she's got a pimp or else she's trying to work one. So, she has nothing she can add for me. And I looked at that thing, I thought it was ridiculous.
Kamala Harris' new economic agenda reveals what she would do to help black men.
Get the hell out the way and stop ruining our reputation as a people.
Vice President on Monday unveiled a list of policies aimed towards Black men, her latest attempt to engage a voting bloc former President Donald Trump and his campaign have attempted to court this election season. Harris' opportunity agenda for Black men includes a laundry list of policy proposals, including providing 1 million loans to Black entrepreneurs and others to start businesses, investing in Black male mentorship and training programs, protecting cryptocurrency assets, launching a health equity initiative focusing on diseases that disproportionately impact Black men like diabetes and prostate cancer, and legalizing recreational marijuana for Black men to participate in the how you pronounce this word?
Burgeoning
Burgeoning
markets.
Yeah. So
yeah, bullshit. Please,
well,
must we?
Yes.
Anyway, go ahead. We must, I take it. Anyway, it's patronizing and it's absolutely ridiculous. And her so-called subsidy thing, that's up to Congress, not her. And that would subsume that we are going to put in a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate, which I don't think is going to be the case. And even if you got it, what it's going to do is raise the interest rates even more. It's going to wind up driving inflation up, so you'll get less for it. There's not going to be any security or collateral, and we'll get right back into the same mess we got on a different kind of scale with student loans, which, by the way, do not help out Black men because disproportionately 2/3 of the recipients of student loans who are Black or female versus 1/3 male. So it doesn't really help out Black men much. Even this so-called bailout, which is still up in the air as to the questionable legality, because it deprives the banks and others perhaps of what shall we say, property without due process of law. But then again, if they got processed by the government and compensated, that means they don't have to wait for their interest payments. They get the full amount. They get their loans paid into them. They get cash up front. Let's see, they can cut down their loan departments, their collection departments, the process of levying and executing when you get judgments against somebody. It's a windfall for the banks and very little for the people who are beneficiary, except a reminder that, hey, you wasted 4 years, and after all of these years of trying to pay it back, you still aren't middle class.
So let me examine her BS so-called tangibles, right? This person, CJG, today Kamala Harris released a specific agenda targeted towards things Black men have said is wanted. So where does the goalpost move now to say, well, they haven't said what they want to do for Black men, ? So pathways to high demand jobs, expanded education access, to increase representation of Black male teachers, a crucial role model for young Black students. Harris says she plans to invest in teacher training programs through Department of Education. This is why I wanted to talk about this so-called Black agenda and why it's BS. Because even with the Black school teachers, do you have your headphones by any chance to put on?
Nah, they're charging up. Go ahead.
So even with the Black school teachers, first of all, a lot of the Black guys who are school teachers are gay. Second of all, a lot of Black men who are qualified to be school teachers, right? They don't choose to go into that field because you don't pay well. So you can have all the training you want in the world. If you're not paying a reasonable salary, they're not going to want to apply. Health equity. I spoke about that, focusing on Black men diseases, chronic diseases. Vice President also committed to legalizing recreational marijuana. Why would you push for that? People need to smoke.
Sleazy heifer. As many Black men as you locked up, giving out the stiffest sentences for possession in America, the young black males, when the white ones and the Asian ones in San Francisco were walking around, not even getting tapped on the back of their hands. Oh, yeah. You expect us to believe it after your history of lies and deceit? No way.
So here, and then it says economic plan centers on wealth building and supporting Black entrepreneurship. Her administration will provide 1 million forgivable loans, each up to $20,000, to help Black men and others who have faced significant barriers to starting a business.
What the hell are you going to do with $20,000?
Right. So they're saying they're going to forgive up to 20,000.
What the hell are you going to do with that?
But here's the thing. She's a liar.
Of course she's lying. And who's going to get this little scant change to do what with? That isn't even as much as a down payment on this house mess she's talking about, which is just going to make the housing market scarcer and drive up the interest rates and make the credit that you need to get the rest of the house. What kind of house can you get today for $25,000?
But everything that, first of all, this is her website. She did not put a separate link or a separate tab at the top saying Black issues or Black policies. What she was saying verbally about this so-called fake Black men agenda, she is doing for all Americans. She already have it in her plan for everyone, not just Black men. She was highlighting her plan for all Americans, was just saying this will benefit Black men. So you put the word Black men, but then you're naming policies that you already laid out for all Americans.
And she's lying about that. If she was serious, she and Biden would have put it into place 3.5 years ago. So they haven't done a damn thing in 3.5 years. They won't now because they're lying. And the only thing they told the truth was, we're not going to do anything especially for Black people. That's what that heifer said a few months after she got sworn in.
Right. So, for instance, grow small businesses and invest in entrepreneurs. Vice President and Governor Walz know that small businesses, neighborhoods, blah, 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 blah. She has led the Biden-Harris administration efforts to increase access to capital for small businesses and venture capital in parts, driving a record 19 million new business applications. Here it goes right here. To help achieve this, she will expand the startup expense tax deduction for new businesses from $5,000 to $50,000 and take on the everyday obstacles and red tape that can make it harder to grow a small business. That's the same thing that she verbally said for the so-called Black men agenda.
How is what $20,000? You can't even hire for your first employee with that. What are you going to do? You can't get inventory for $20,000. You can't even get a year's worth of rent on a business facility.
It's a big nothing burger.
It's a fraud again. She lies as she breathes.
Exactly.
And she's typical of career prosecutors, the most unscrupulous, dishonest class of people you can find, though there are exceptions, and she's not one of them.
Exactly.
So what exactly are we supposed to be getting for all of this except fraudulent representation, which is typical of what she's been about her whole life? She's a fraud at being Black. She's a fraud at having delivered justice. You saw that lying heifer when she got him, said, nobody's been locked up under this adult truant program. And we interviewed Miss Peoples at great length, the horror stories that come out when the truth is laid out. This misinformation must be fought, so we must do something like Edwards is saying. We need to revisit the First Amendment. Maybe we need to come up with a replacement, or we need to repeal it. Repeal the First Amendment, you fascist creature.
So,
And by the way, speaking of school teachers, just why did her buddy Tampon Tim Waltz wind up quitting his teaching job? And he says he was the coach. Isn't the truth of the matter assistant coach? And then it's out on the net now. Why was he being called Touchdown Tim?
yeah, well, we're not diving into that conspiracy theory because I know what you're talking about.
And I bet you it's not a theory. It
Well,
is
whatever it is,
reality. So
person.
why do we
Wait,
deal
let me
with
say this.
lies?
Let me say this. That person on X, I follow him and he always posts these things, right? And it reads juicy, but he never delivers. So,
Well, he may or may not, but there are questions. And then there are the pictures that are circulating that don't come from him where Tampon Tim, and by the way, why did he sign that into law as governor of that state, putting tampons in 8th grade boys' bathrooms? What exactly do you expect? An invasion of lesbo tranny girls trying to play boy? That's a little different from the usual. But then what about these pictures of him prancing around on these line dances with a tied blouse with his midriff out? Maybe somebody's lying on him, maybe somebody's not. What is this? This isn't for us. See, they're trying to bribe us. They're trying to lie to us, sell us a bill of goods, a bait and switch thing so they can get their rainbow cult in. And we can, once again, get absolutely nothing. Now, what's different now than it was a while back when it comes to, well, people aren't going to get anything special? What's that all about?
well, all right. I want to bring up the fact that Kamala Harris, she sat down with Roland Martin, and this was, I think, the first 101, and he's been kissing her ass and all the Democrats for the past 4 years. So, and this is where this so-called black men agenda, came from with these talking points.
But with roly-poly, chocolate chip infused Pillsbury Doughboy Martin.
Right. And I want
that is what the hell does he have to say that would appeal to straight black men?
Well, I want to play a couple of clips and discuss it.
It's about the kinds of people who run the businesses he runs, big developers, billionaires. He's not looking out for middle class folks. You look at what he is proposing in terms of cutting, if you look at the cost that middle class families bear, healthcare costs. We have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Black folks are 60% more.
That's a goddamn lie.
Under Project 2025, they would undo that $35 cap. You look at what he is planning to do that is about getting rid of the Department of Education and Head Start programs. Who do you think that's going to affect? So there is, first of all, a danger in terms of understanding there are two choices in this election and understanding what Donald Trump intends for middle-class families. Two, look at it in the context of how he actually thinks and talks about black folks in America. And you and I have talked about this before. Is not looking out for folks when he was a landlord and would not rent to black families, sued for it. When he took out a full-page ad in the New York Times against those 5 teenagers, black and Latino, who were innocent, saying they should be executed, the Central Park 5. When you look at the first black president of the United States, and he had birther lines, and now you look at black immigrants, legal immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, and he gets on a debate stage and says they're eating their pets? Come on. This man is dangerous.
So that was the first clip, Judge. Do you want to comment on that? You're muted.
Okay, the Central Park 5, 4 of them confessed It started when one of them's daddy brought him down, one of the defendants down, and said, my son wants to confess. So it wasn't like the police beat it out of him. It was a horrible crime. And they'd been clowning around in that park all week long at night. And yeah, I did not exactly think it was cool what they confessed to doing. And if they punked out and confessed, that's their problem. Ordinary people don't know what they went through because they didn't raise it until later. So if they punked out, copped out, you know, that's the way the facts laid. So what Trump did was not bad. And meanwhile, this hypocritical heifer here, just think about the guy that got $13.1 million
about
political benefit. She kept him on death row in California when she had exculpating evidence that she refused to release until the California Supreme Court ordered her to release. All right, how about all of the young men that she kept in penitentiaries in California way past their release time because she wanted them to work for free on fighting fires, since her domain and did not include, but she chose to intrude on the parole process. So, you know, what are we talking about here? Hypocrisy? Look at this lying heifer with this fake, sincere look on her face in the body language of a liar.
So let me play this second clip.
You think when he trashes black cities. So in 2020, he talked about voting in Fulton County, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Detroit. There was a partial recount of Wisconsin, only in Milwaukee. The comments that he just made about Detroit basically being a living hell.
Oakland, D.C., Chicago.
Pretty damn ad.
Come on. Come on.
Pretty good damn ad y'all dropped out. I actually liked it. Jamel Hill and I talked about it. But again, he's singling out cities where there are significant African Americans, and that's who he's talking about. Black people.
Yes. Yes.
He's not doing that, you lying heifer.
You
What
know,
he is
this
talking
whole,
about
I talked
people
with
in your
somebody once who
party
said,
that run the damn cities.
you know, if you just look at where the stars are in the sky, don't look at them as just random things. If you just look at them as points, look at the constellation. What does it show you? So you just outlined it, Roland. What does it show you? That the cities that he picks on in terms of black population or black mayor or both? Come on.
Incompetent black mayors, where the entire board of education in Chicago resigned because of that incompetent blue-head black mayor that they've got. Okay, yeah.
But why is she talking about the stars and the constellations as
she doesn't know what the hell she's saying. She's just trying to throw something in. This is freshman English.
One more clip.
Take you out the game. There is an intent to make it more difficult. There is an intent to suggest to a lot of folks that their vote won't matter, with the intention that people will not vote, which is an attempt to silence folks. And what we know is the greatest progress we have achieved is when we jump over those obstacles that have been purposely laid to do what we know is about progress. And this election is going to be no different. They've already started with the misinformation and the lies. We know that there is foreign interference, and I have to say to everybody listening to this, don't let them take your voice. Because I was part of the Senate Intelligence Committee when we investigated Russia's...
The one trying to get the First Amendment repealed, you lying fascist.
Interference in the 2016 election. Black folks were targeted with misinformation because there was an assumption that you're already targeting a group of people who already have learned, based on a lived experience, that things aren't necessarily designed to work for them, and manipulate that in a way that suggests to people that their vote won't matter. Because if you do that, they won't vote. That was the intention.
Can I say something about that? Because I remember when that was a thing, and Black people were targeted, but it was by the Democrats, and specifically ADOS, American Descendant of Slaves. That was an organization that developed, and it was building up traction to actually get for reparations on a state level and a federal level. And they had the media say, oh, that's not a real organization, it's a bunch of Russian bots. They even had an article come out of Harvard University trying to belittle it or debunk it, and Harvard had to come back and retract and apologize. So what she's saying isn't a lie, it's just that you were the one doing it.
Well, it's a lie because they're trying to say it's mega when actually it's jackass.
Right. And so it's one more other thing that I wanted to play with that art, with that interview
people
that Roland Martin did with her. And it was the part, and I have the timestamp. They started talking about the criminal justice system, and I wanted you to hear it.
God, let me hear it.
Yeah, let me see. Let me get to. All right, let's see. Wait a minute. Oh, here we go.
What do they want? Because I see that they turn out in big numbers.
Criminal justice. One of the things I keep hearing, Biden-Harris administration didn't get George Floyd Justice Act passed through. But what you have, though, is a very aggressive civil rights division that, and I've covered all the stories, the number of former police officers they've actually sent to prison, corrections officers, jailers. And I haven't heard
some of the highest numbers in recent history, and certainly compare those numbers to Trump administration.
Well,
and you see a stark difference.
Yeah, he had one pattern practice investigation, and 12 under this DOJ.
Exactly right.
Will you continue having that aggressive of a DOJ civil rights division? Because the work that's being done, I mean, it doesn't get a lot of attention and it talked about a lot, but it is actually happening. The work that Kristen Clark and others are doing.
They're doing extraordinary work, and that is the work that would continue in a Harris administration. Let me tell you something, and again, because Roland, I have to keep stressing not only the importance of every point, but the contrast between me and Donald Trump. Under Donald Trump as president, those cases were not happening with any vigor or commitment. And not only that, he took resources out of the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice. We put resources into the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice so they could do the job they're supposed to do. And that absolutely would continue under me and my leadership. And it's about looking at what people have done or what they say. Again, you know the record of Donald Trump on these issues. You know the record of where he is on things like stop and frisk, right? And what the
you lying hypocritical help.
There's a real contrast here.
The Bay Area when you were in
we have discussed.
Pathetic. You lying rhymes with which.
I'll say, just say it.
Lying bitch. When you were sitting there trying to crack down on everything, and you just got through 2 weeks ago talking about, I don't care if you have legal guns or not. We're coming in your house, warrant or otherwise, and we're going to check. Forget search and seizure, you hypocritical heifer. You took an oath to uphold the Constitution. So and you lying she-dog. What you did is horrible.
You heard her when she said that he rolled back some civil rights.
Look, it didn't do a damn thing for black folk. That was rainbow rights. Not a damn thing for black people. So quit lying, you fake.
All right, let me just play a little bit more of this part.
FBI director said white domestic terrorism was America's greatest threat. How do you get folks who are not black to understand that hate crimes are still real? These things are actually happening in the country, and they have to be dealt with and addressed. Mm-hmm. Because when you talk about that, folks go, oh, no, these things are not happening. But the reality is they are, and African Americans still are number one when it comes to hate crimes being reported against us.
Well, I know that because I published the hate crimes report every year when I was Attorney General of California. And it is, to your point, about talking about it and making people clear that we have actually seen a spike in hate crimes across the board. And it does not help when you have somebody who is a former president and running to be president again, who is constantly fanning the flames of hate and division in our country.
Stop. And he fanned the flames to get himself subject to 2 assassination attempts, maybe 3 if you count what happened yesterday. Oh, you lying witch. It's your side that's been doing that, running all over the country. You hypocritical she-dog, you're the one that was raising money to get those rioters out of the jails and post bond for them so they could get right back out there and burn down more black communities behind that George Floyd BS. It was you. So quit lying. And she's saying it with a straight face, or trying to anyway. And this roly-poly Pillsbury Doughboy stuffed with chocolate chips. He's trying to do the same kiss-ass routine he did under, Bush boy Obama, to get a promotion in a position with him and get into television to begin with. He's doing the same thing right now. He is a shill. He is a house boy. And he's probably one of those 3rd floor house boys that did special little things for the freaks.
Right. Well,
Allegedly. Do tell. And remember the stuff they put out him about all of the twerking and stuff he was doing, and the nude boy booties that he had, that he accidentally posted.
Yeah.
Yeah, real manly, you creep.
Well, that's their MO, to say Trump is a racist, Trump is bad, we need joy, we're not going back. That's the narrative that they're pushing.
And why can't she just be what she's been pushing herself as for her whole career? An East Indian. What happened to shaming her people? That's like somebody black going around talking about, don't call me black, I'm anything else. I'm mixed, I'm this, I'm that. Do I look like I'm black to you? No, heifer. You're doing the same kind of diss to your own people that most black men despise and detest when they see a creep doing that to black people who's really black, which you're not. You're a fake.
Well, before we wrap up this
lying fake,
I want to highlight this, right? Because
you got me started. I was having
yeah, just relax for a minute.
Equanimity was mine for most of the day.
So, like I said, that this black agenda is not in writing. So she posted this under her Kamala Harris X account. Harris Walls policy. Kamala Harris will create an opportunity agenda for black men. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 checkpoints. And we read them off: legalize marijuana, national health initiative, cryptocurrency investments of black men who make them know their money is safe, support education, training, and mentorship programs, provide 1 million loans that are fully forgivable up to $20,000 for black entrepreneurs.
Oh, bull.
So the question is, wait, stop. Let me ask you this question. The question I want to ask you, and I'm going to put this poll in the chat, is this, if she's really going to do it, whether it's Trump or Kamala, is this a good agenda?
No, hell no. You even patronize and insult black men by saying, we're going to give you, there are 5 things. And one of the 20% of what's most important to black men is legalizing weed. That is so insulting and patronizing. And then we're going to give you $20,000, which is chump change. You can't get a business going for 20 grand. You can't even get the paperwork done. You can't even get a lawyer to look over the initial contracts and agreements. You certainly can't go and hire one to incorporate you for hardly less than that. So what the devil are you supposed to be talking about? Next bloody doggone thing. This is crazy. Explain cryptocurrency, heifer. You heard Donald Trump and his son get on X Space several weeks ago and give a brilliant exposition on crypto. She can't even explain it. She doesn't know what it is. She's probably going to talk about, I remember back years ago when I was in the dorms, they had something called Tales from the Crypt.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is what I mean.
Why do you think? Why do you say? Okay, so why do you think this is not good?
Because it doesn't do anything. It's just vacuous.
Specifically for black men compared to what they have now, which is nothing.
Well, they're legalizing marijuana in a lot of states. So what is it you're going to do? And it ain't up to you anyway, heifer. You can't sign off on this. You've got to get Congress to change the laws, the House and the Senate. So you can't even do that. So that's out of the way. Marijuana one is just patronizingly ridiculous. 3, you don't know a damn thing about cryptocurrency. And 4, the other thing is you can't do anything about the $20,000 loan. That'll have to be up to the House and the Senate in Congress, not you. So what is it left that she's going to do? Criminal justice reform? You witch. You have spent your entire career corrupting criminal justice to lock up young black men. And by the way, who do you think is going to be more sensitive to the plight of young black men who get exploited by the system? Somebody that's been spending most of her career putting young black men in those prisons, or somebody who's been through the same kind of persecution that a lot of them have? I submit the latter. That's Donald Trump. You've tried to turn the law against him for political persecution, and the term that is used today is called lawfare. Donald Trump understands lawfare. He's been victimized by it, and you, heifer, you were one of the architects of this mess. You, for the entirety of your career, have been jamming up young black folk with no reform, no nothing, and exploiting their situations for your political gain. You witch.
So she put this on her X account, but this specifically policy is not on her website. And that's one, I look at all that. If you're not going to put it on your website, because you could get in the office and not do it. So that's a given. I don't believe her, because you could do this now. Why can't
you done it?
Right. You could go to Joe Biden
overnight after talking to this little sissy boy who likes to put naked men off in his, the tape that he released by accident.
Right.
Another bathhouse boy or a booty bandit, or what are we talking about? Well, I guess that's, that might be off limits to talk about. But that's less than 1.5% of the American public, so big deal.
Yeah.
Oh, and we're not supposed to do that. Remember, free speech is not free speech, because disinformation is the enemy of democracy. So we have to restrict free speech so we can have democracy. Well, guess what, idiots? This is not a democracy. It's a republic. Democracy is a shorthand way of talking about mob rule.
Mm-hmm. So, why is this? I don't want to be purple. Guys, I need you guys to hit the like button. Let's slow this down for a minute, because I changed the live chat to subscribers only. I'm about to change it to members only, because I need for you guys to hit that like button. I want to get to over 1,000 likes. I need over 1,000 likes. So hit that like button.
Can we switch off of this witch?
I am. I'm about to go into something else. Give me a second.
It makes my stomach ache.
Give me a
Makes me feel like I'm getting ulcers.
Well, you're grumpy a little bit.
Yeah.
She makes you grumpy.
You know what? I did a dissertation on fascism and Nazism years ago, and she exhibits so many of the classic traits. The things she and her cronies say are so much out of the Nazi playbook, and it's been 90 years ago this year, 1934, that they really started putting them in place to destroy the Weimar Republic and set Nazism in place. And after World War II, when everybody started saying, how did the Germans let this happen?
Listen, I'm tired of you two
now
messing with my fucking stream.
Who? What? Me?
No, you two. Like, it's just, I don't know what it is. Like, it's just, maybe I do have to get an ether core, but maybe it's the Wi-Fi needs to be stronger. I don't think so. No, but just stop messing with my shit.
Well, maybe it's these fascists represented by this witch who seems to be a neo-Nazi who are trying to give you a preview what's in store if they get in office.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
You're getting a preview, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is what they intend to do. Everybody I know that's running a conservative outfit is talking about this kind of stuff. Look what they did to Elon Musk. Now, the Defense Department of the United States of America wants him to do some launches, 50 of them, from Vandenberg Air Force Base. That requires that he get an offshore permit from the state of California. Do you know these creeps denied his permit, and do you know what they cited as the primary reason? They didn't like his politics.
Really? That's not good.
He posted about it. They are
thinking what? That he's an agent. He's into that robot stuff. I don't know what.
No. In other words, they don't like him because he supports Donald Trump. They think he's an enemy of the people. But he's the one, by the way, that has the only reliable retrieval device we have to get these astronauts back from outer space. Remember, there are a couple that are stranded because Boeing's space capsule is broken down and parked at the space station. And did you see what they just did? They took the most powerful rocket ever designed, built, and launched. And what they did this time is after they boosted the payload into space, they came back and they landed the damn thing tail first, and it got gripped by
honey, if you would have been here on time, because I did put that down in the to talk about.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And California, because they don't like his politics, they want to block him.
Well, let's hold that towards the end.
And by the way, that's for future reference. That's a Hatch Act violation to interfere with the operation of government because of political purposes. It's not just when a political party benefits from government employees working for them. It's also when governments misuse federal funds. They're getting federal funds, and yet they're trying to block out the Department of Defense that represents the whole damn country's security.
Yeah.
And it's also violation of the First Amendment. And it is also using state authority to interject itself into violating Musk's civil rights. So it's funny that you get they talk about it. This is her state where the witch came from and helped set that up. Meanwhile, I want a whole session so we can talk about that heifer and what she and Soros and Mnuchin and One West Bank did to the state of California and caused all of these people their homes and bankruptcies.
How about tomorrow? I'll pull you aside and we'll do a pre-record specifically on that.
Yeah, that might work. That sounds good to me.
All right. So I want to get into.
And by the way, I got these cops I was talking to. They're one on this same subject. They said, do they honestly think that we good Americans would enforce this communist/Nazi stuff on the American people we've sworn to protect and serve? Hell no, we're not going to do it.
Well, I want to get into your second favorite person. You're going to get more grumpier.
Who's that?
Oh, Nickel Slick. I didn't call him. Somebody call him Nickel Slick. So last
Bush boy Obama.
Mm-hmm. So last week, honey, they was dragging his half black ass, and they're still dragging him, and rightfully so. Right? Talking about what he say about black men.
I'm sorry. By
stop
the way,
being misogynist.
when he was
support her the way you supported me. That's what he was.
Well, look here. When he was in the Illinois state legislature, the rumor mill was rife about how sapphire-ish Michelle was and how she was always making him buck dance and all of the rest of it. You know what sapphire is, don't you?
Yes.
From Amos and Andy, that witch acting one, Sapphire.
Yes.
Yeah, well, he seems to have succumbed to being bossed around by Sapphire.
Well, this is the thing. So the question that I want to ask.
Don't put that on the rest of us. We ain't buying it.
The question I want to ask, are churches manipulating Black America?
They always have. Yes, they are. Especially when they kowtow to this kind of creepy stuff. Freedom of speech. Did these fools, these pulpit pimps, realize what they're doing when they start in allowing somebody to talk about repealing the First Amendment? A lot of them would get their dumbasses locked up if the wrong party got in power. Because remember, unless they pull off this Nazi-esque coup where there's only one political party, if the other one gets in, they will have put this mechanism in place. Maybe there'll be a third party coming up. No telling what somebody might do with what they put in place if they get rid of the First Amendment.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to play this clip. This is when Obama was president, and I forgot why he was at this church or what this event was about, but it something probably happened to Black person or Black people, and they got to run to the church, and I think he was acting throughout this whole thing, but this was classic. What could we call it? Manipulation or being a slickster? But let me just play this.
The word is demagoguery.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was all, Clementa Picnic found that grace. Cynthia Hurd found that grace. Susie Jackson found that grace. Ethel Lance found that grace. The Payne Middleton doctor found grace. Tywanza Sanders found that grace. Daniel L. Simmons Sr. found that grace. Sharonda Coleman Singleton.
I had a grandfather and an uncle that were preachers. I know that game, and it is shameless what he was trying to do. And what in the hell was the point?
I think he couldn't think of nothing else to say. So he went into a hymn. And it's like it hypnotizes Black people.
And wait a minute. I used to represent the Black Baptist Ministers Alliance here in Memphis 35 plus years ago. And they'd actually attend classes on how to work Black folks' susceptibility to this so they could increase what went into the collection plate. It's pimping. And he got that from Reverend White, who he threw under the bus when he ran the first time.
Well, yes, he got it from Reverend Wright. However, I think Reverend Wright was not trying to pimp White or Wright? White. Reverend White, I don't think he was trying to pimp his congregation.
No, he wasn't. But Obama was learn how to use it so he could.
But you know where he got it from? Your other friend, I'm about to show you. Clinton.
Oh, God.
So this is Bill Clinton recently over the weekend in Albany, New York at a Black church. This is him. Wait, where's the video? I thought it was a video.
Cal served 48 years. I will date myself now. That's just one less year than Cal served.
I thought I had another video of him. But
he's a good public speaker, one of the best ever when he got a good show going. Sometimes he could bore people to death. Sometimes he could fire them up. But that's like him playing the saxophone that now they're questioning whether he actually did it. But it is what it is.
And he went into a McDonald's. She said, are you Joe? She thought it was Joe Biden at first. He got so old looking. But again, going back to Black people being manipulated so easily by the Black church, which is why these politicians, particularly Democrats, they always end up at Black churches because they know that can easily help convince Black people to support them.
Well, you know, the Democrats started Black churches. That's when they figured out it was a control mechanism to control your slaves. So they learned early on, 210 years ago, they came into being as a political party to protect and spread slavery. Mm-hmm. So they are well versed on how to program Negroes. Except the deal is now there's no cotton for the Negroes on the plantation to pick. They just make rainbows now.
Well, we have another one going back to the person you really can't stand. She's speaking and she was given an account of one of her other Black experiences growing up.
So I first encountered the words of Galatians as a young girl at 23rd Avenue Church of God in Oakland, California, which is where I sang in the children's choir and first learned the teachings of the Bible. My earliest memories of those teachings are about a loving God. A God who asks us to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, to defend the rights of the poor and the needy. And so at an early age, I learned that faith is a verb.
Who in the hell have you ever defended? You've always been a persecutor, a vicious one.
So again, she was at in South Carolina. This was in Greensville, South Carolina, a Christian Center Church, and a black church. Here we go with the churches. And here's Kamala. I was in the choir. Galatians, I guess that's a Bible verse. But and then you hear black people clapping and amen in the background.
Oh, they need to go back to their little plantations where they can idle away their time.
Yeah, so that's why I asked the question: are black people, are churches manipulating black America, black Americans, especially black women? And churches are not what they used to be, because when black people walked off the plantation, especially during Reconstruction, they built their own communities, and that the cornerstone of that community was the church. But at that church is where you network, where you started businesses, where you pooled your money together and invested back into your community. None of that happens now. That's how you start building schools. You have school lessons in the church, build other buildings around that church. So the purpose of church, especially in the black community, has always been about community, family, prosperity. But now today it's none of those things, because
they support the destruction of the traditional nuclear family when they support these charlatans and invite them to take their pulpits.
Exactly.
You support this Kamala witch, and what the devil do you think you're doing when she's done so much to destroy the nuclear family, to destroy manhood, womanhood, and childhood? This is the one that wants to put the boys in the girls' bathrooms, girls' shower rooms, girls' locker rooms, and let boys whip up on the girls if they want to put on panties and sports bras.
Right.
Destroy the First Amendment that these pulpit pimps enjoy so well. Deal with the Second Amendment that gives us the opportunity to take back our communities, because the thugs damn sure aren't going to give up the guns that they get brought in by the cartels that now don't have any restrictions at the borders. The same cartels bringing in the kilos or bringing in the crates. Pathetic. Oh, Fourth Amendment. Black folk that's one thing that is a racist problem in America. Black folk live in the wrong part of town. Nobody respects your rights to be free from illegal search and seizure. And she's talking about, we don't care if you have them legally. We're coming in warrant or otherwise. What are they telling you that you were too stupid to realize they're getting ready to do?
Exactly.
I already told you, Negroes ain't getting the damn thing from that administration, and they kept the promise. We didn't get a damn thing. If you're a rainbow, you got a lot.
Well,
over the rainbow.
I want to segue into Trump, and I want to start off with this, because this is Byron Donalds. He is in Congress, and he was talking about Obama economy versus Trump, because during Obama's speech last week in Pittsburgh, Obama alluded to, well, he inherited a good economy from me. So I want to play this clip of Byron.
No, he didn't. It was not good.
I want to play this clip of Byron Donalds. He was on CNN debunking those remarks by Obama.
He didn't do nothing except those big tax cuts.
How do you respond to that? Very easily. I was working in finance during Barack Obama's administration. Let me tell you, the economy under his last, especially the last 5 years, was growing at about 1 to 1.5% per year. I think at the time, President Obama was saying that, this era of large economic growth is something of the past. We're going to have a more consistent economy. Well, in his words, a consistent economy meant one that barely grew. So when Donald Trump came in, he brought his tax cut policy in, which cut taxes across the board for everybody in our country. Couple the fact that he did cut massive regulations from the Obama administration. And what did we see? Economic growth in the United States went from 1.5% under Barack Obama to 3.5% under Donald Trump. Wages adjusted for inflation, like I said, because it's the truth, increased for every subgroup of Americans in our country. The wealth gap was closing. We were actually booming economically far more than we did under Barack Obama. So that's a cool statement he made on the stump, but it's not true.
Yeah, amen. That is certainly correct. The purchasing power of the Black citizenry rose to its highest since LBJ was last in office. The employment rate was the highest for Black men since LBJ was in office. The actual earned income for Black people was at its highest since LBJ had been in office. And that is 56 years ago. So what the devil is Bush boy Obama talking about? And I say Bush boy because he's related to the Bushes, to Dick Cheney, to Sarah Palin. They're all cousins and not 10th related either. Obama boy's maternal grandfather was first cousin to George Herbert Walker Bush, first cousin.
Well, speaking of that, because I want to play this other clip, and this is JD Vance. On the weekends, on Sundays, he goes on ABC This Week and other media outlets. And I like JD Vance now doing interviews, honey, because he sets it straight.
Like him. At first I had my doubts, but the more I hear him, I say, whoa.
Yeah, it's like the more I hear, because he had to say that his reporter here, he said, do you hear yourself? So let me play this clip.
The incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border. Americans are so fed up with what's going on, and they have every right to be. And I really find this exchange, Martha, sort of interesting because you seem to be more focused with nitpicking everything that Donald Trump has said rather than acknowledging that apartment complexes in the United States of America are being taken over by violent gangs. I worry so much more about that problem than anything else here. We've got to get American communities in a safe space again. And unfortunately, when you let people in by the millions, most of whom are unvetted, most of whom you don't know who they really are, you're going to have problems like this. Kamala Harris, 94 executive orders that undid Donald Trump's successful border policies. We knew this stuff would happen. They bragged about opening the border, and now we have the consequences, and we're living with it. We can do so much better, but frankly, we're not going to do better, Martha, unless Donald Trump calls this stuff out. I'm glad that he did.
So what the hell was how can you can't romanticize or downplay what the illegal migrants are doing in Colorado and everywhere else in this nation. I'm sorry, and I'm glad he called her out. He even said, do you hear yourself?
The incidents were limited to
It was like, basically, you sound crazy.
You know what we got taught in oratory and public speaking? If they don't ask you the right question, answer the question that should have been asked. And that's what he does with great art form. Mm-hmm. He doesn't get trapped and he doesn't go down the rabbit hole they're trying to open up for him. Thank you, Mr. Vance. That was great. And the problem is, by the way, I was one of the first to start using that word vetted several years ago. You aren't vetting these people. You don't know if they're diseased, crazy, criminal. We've let in 15,000 convicted murderers. 15,000. You've let in 20,000 convicted sex offenders and 60,000 who've been convicted of drug dealing on a major scale, and you don't even know where they are now. What kind of policy is that? See, no vetting.
Let's stay on illegal migrants for a second, because Bill Clinton, and this is the thing, Obama didn't do Kamala Harris any good with his speech last week. It actually did the opposite. And now it sounds like Bill Clinton is following Barack Obama's footsteps by harming Kamala Harris' campaign, because he talked about Raleigh. What was that?
Raleigh Durham.
Lincoln Raleigh.
Oh, Lincoln Raleigh. Well, what?
Lincoln Raleigh's death. She was the one murdered by an illegal immigrant.
Oh, yes.
This is Bill Clinton talking about the border.
You had a case in Georgia not very long ago, didn't you? They made an ad about a young woman who'd been killed by an immigrant. Yeah, well, if they'd all been properly vetted, that probably wouldn't have happened. But if they're all properly vetted, and that doesn't happen, and America is not having enough babies to keep our populations up. So we need immigrants that have been vetted to do work. There wouldn't be a problem. And he couldn't keep people all torn up and upset.
And you're talking about bringing in replacements?
Well, it sounded like he was saying if they were properly vetted. So it sounded like he was
jamming up the bitch. Well, the witch.
Right. Yeah, thank you.
She-dog. She-hyena.
Right. So you got Obama disrespecting black men, and black men are at 20% already voting for Trump. So you just made it worse. And that twisted her arm to come out with a policy, because if he never said that, she wouldn't have came out with no BS policy. And now you got Bill Clinton basically saying, hey, they need to be properly vetted, and we got open borders, and that's not a good thing. But Americans need to start having more babies. That's going against your
numbers. There's too many Negroes and Mexicans right now, so let's bring in some South American Mexicans so we can confuse the issue. Nothing wrong with Mexicans. I mean, if you go through the changes of becoming a citizen, more power to you. But they've been in line for 8, 9, 10 years.
What happened? Give them a minute. Somebody must have called them. I'm going to get to the super chats as soon as he comes back. But I do want to say, Ira Gordon, thank you so much. This is so lovely. Dana, you made a comment on one of your shows when you said it would be up to black men to save the black community. I'm a black man, registered Democrat, voting Trump, and all I can say is you were right. It took just 20% of us in lockstep / on cold. Thank you, Ira. Yeah. And that is why, and I need to do a show on this, and I need to do some research and have proper notes, because that is why they create all of these different policies to harm black men, to separate black families, destroy black families, destroy black communities. We no longer have communities. I don't know what happened to the judge. He should be coming back up. Somebody must have called him. But it's very intentional to keep black men locked up, to keep them unemployed, to give Black women government benefits so that they won't be encouraged to get married. So thank you, Ira. Did you want me to read this comment to you? It says, Dana, you made a comment on one of your shows.
I'm just looking at it. I can read.
So
I'm a Black man, registered Democrat, voting Trump, and all I can say is you were right. It just took 20% of us in lockstep on code. Yeah, be on man code. Stop being one of these worthless. What is it? What did Arnold Schwarzenegger call them? Girly men.
Mm-hmm.
Stand up for your manhood.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I'm a chauvinist, and I don't care
The
whether
man don't have to be a chauvinist to stand up for your manhood.
No, I mean I don't care what
you know
put a label
you.
on.
Yeah, that's you. You know you, and at least you're honest about who you are, and that's part of being a man, knowing who you are and standing on it and not compromising.
Yeah, I mean I have absolutely no urge to put on panties in a sports bra and compete against women. Mm-mm.
Before I get into Donald Trump alleged third assassination attempt, it was breaking news today, honey, and I said I'm going live tomorrow, right? Fannie Willis.
Oh, did it again.
Fannie Willis sent Congressman Jim Jordan, who was chairman committee of the Judiciary, a letter demanding Nathan Wade not answer questions at his deposition tomorrow before the Judiciary Committee.
What is she? Where does she get off? What does she think this system is about?
So it says
she's actually trying to get him to become in contempt of Congress. What is wrong with this woman?
Well, wait, let me see.
And it is a chamber that the Democrats don't control, the Republicans do. What are you going to do except get yourself found in contempt and locked up, fool?
Well, she is saying in this letter, I write to you in an official capacity as District Attorney of Fulton County and on behalf of my office regarding subpoena by the House Judiciary Committee for the testimony of Mr. Nathan Wade, who served as a special counsel to the Fulton County District Attorney Office. I am concerned that your demand for Mr. Wade's testimony will force him to improperly divulge confidential information that is protected by privileges held by the Fulton County DA's office, FCDA or office, and demands that Mr. Wade violate state bar of Georgia rules that govern conduct of attorneys. Accordingly, Mr. Wade has been informed that the FCDA is asserting all legal protections and privileges related to information that he possesses about ongoing criminal.
And by the way, you know what she just did? She engaged in unauthorized practice of law. This is something that Wade has to get an attorney to go deal with. She could have filed an amicus brief, but she didn't. Bottom line is she attempted to give legal advice, which she has no authority to do since this was not a client. Next thing, she did exactly what she accused Trump of doing, trying to use authority to get around the law. So she's trying to use hers to get around American law. Since this involves federal money that went to the state of Georgia, some of which she got as part of some grants going to her office for prosecution, they are entitled to question what happened to it. And since it's obvious that the two of them, she and Mr. Wade, were engaged in what allegedly looks like money laundering, tax evasion, and some other things, they are certainly entitled to make inquiry.
Well, she's saying here, your demand for Mr. Wade testimony implements many significant established privileges and confidentiality.
Which?
Attempts to solicit information from Mr. Wade about evidence in the election interference case will run afoul of this fundamental principle. In addition, questions about the substance of Mr. Wade's work and
that's not what is being demanded.
It's about where did the federal money go? How did you manage to go deal with this? And where are the records? We want the records to show how you spent it. Congress, by the U.S. Supreme Court, is entitled to that information. So if you're talking about anything else, by the way, all of that could be kept behind closed doors. It can be sequestered. Any release can be redacted if there's anything that fits that category. But no, his tired behind has to go, and he'd be a damn fool because you can't protect him because federal law supersedes state law.
Absolutely. She goes on to say, in addition, questions about the substance of Mr. Wade's work in the case will implicate information that is protected by the deliberative process privilege, attorney-client privilege, and work product privilege, among others. As Chief Justice John Roberts recently noted, it has long been understood that recipients of legislative subpoenas retain common law and constitutional privileges with regard to such information.
But by the way, guess what? That don't apply to prosecution. That only applies to criminal defendants to resist federal or state power. This is not a defendant. This is a witness to something that does not involve prosecution of Mr. Wade. Now, if he wants to get there and deal with taking the Fifth Amendment like some mobsters would occasionally do, more power to him. He can. He doesn't have to be as abysmally stupid as you were by failing to realize the Fifth Amendment consequences to you shooting your big mouth off.
In previous letters, I have detailed why your request for information from the FCDA and Mr. Wade exceed limits on congressional authority and violate the constitutional principles of separation of powers, state sovereignty, and federalism.
Are you representing which? Are you representing Mr. Wade or what? He needs to get his own attorney. You don't have any authorization to defend him under Georgia law.
Mm-hmm.
So why is he getting free legal counsel courtesy of the state of Georgia for what may be individual culpability or perfidy? So how does he get free legal services from somebody that had to divest itself of him?
More recently, I have requested that you either withdraw your request for Mr. Wade's testimony or permit a representative from the office to attend his deposition in order to assert our privileges and protect the ongoing criminal prosecution. This request was reasonable as the committee ultimately elected to take a similar course of action after the Federal Appeals Court temporarily blocked its deposition of Mark Menratz, a former special assistant district attorney for the New York County District Attorney Office. To date,
That's not even the same thing. There was no accusation that he was, in fact, possibly guilty of criminal wrongdoing or misappropriation of federal funds or making a false statement to a federal agency or federal agent.
Mm-hmm. Well, in conclusion here, she says, to the end, Mr. Wade has been instructed to not to answer any questions about his role in the election interference case.
She said that?
Yes, it's here in this.
Okay, well, that, by the way, becomes interference in a governmental process, which is criminal. So she's stupid again. What's wrong with her?
Yeah, she said that he has been instructed not to answer questions about his role in an election.
He advised him.
Or wait, let me finish reading. Or about any evidence in that case. Mr. Wade has been informed of his obligation to assert FCDA's privileges and to safeguard the integrity of ongoing criminal prosecution.
Well, how about if what the whole office is doing is criminal activity under United States law, And as a funding agency, they have the authority to investigate the criminal use of the funds that they provided to the Georgia office. So what are they going to do? Now they're telling the people to telling Wade to misprison a felony. Oh, that's a crime right there.
And as of this is my question to you, Judge, regarding that. So her the case is on hold. So what she's telling him, what she's saying to Congressman Jim Jordan, well, this is an ongoing case, but if the case is not ongoing because it's on hold, she can't use that excuse.
Well, no, but it's worse than that. Remember what they have Trump on trial for? He called up a state official and said, find me some votes, find some votes. So what was he doing? Interfering with the operation of a state office, even though he held the federal office. So what she's doing is, although she holds a state office, she's attempting to interfere with a federal course of action. Same thing. She is in fact committing the very crime she's got Trump on trial for. Plus, it is not beyond the pale for a congressional committee to investigate criminal wrongdoing by a partially federally funded state agency. So, she's treading deep. Yeah. And then, of course, they picking on me because I'm a black woman. Oh, yeah. No,
I was trying to read through there to see what she gonna say anything about him being a black man, blah blah blah, blah. But she didn't have none of that about race there. But she's reaching, and it's like, why don't you want him to? If he didn't do nothing wrong and you ain't do nothing wrong, honey, your case is dead in the water. Why don't you want this man to go?
She's making a bigger case against herself for being prosecuted for violating federal law.
Is she hoping Kamala Harris get elected and then she could say, okay, now you could go and talk to Congress?
I guess, but some people have a lot at stake here. Trump does. Now she put herself on the table. Letitia James put herself on the table. And wow, I'm interested to see what that New York appellate court does after they roasted a toasty bud.
All right.
And by the way, see, it looks like it's self-serving. In the context of what's been going on, you can't take this as neutral. You can't say, okay, you're really trying to protect the prosecution. No, you're trying to obscure criminal wrongdoing. You're trying to obscure violation of the Bill of Rights and the civil rights of Donald Trump and others who he represented by being the candidate that they supported.
She doesn't learn.
She doesn't. She's a hard-headed sapphire idiot.
Yeah. Hard-headed sapphire mammy.
Mammy Fanny.
All right, let's get into Donald Trump quickly. This won't be long, right? He is going on the Joe Rogan show. He is. He said it here at someone's podcast when they asked him.
You're doing a lot of podcasts recently. One that I would love to see you on is, I think Joe Rogan has to have you on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you do that?
Oh, sure, I would.
I think Joe, like, besides us, Joe's
I think I'm doing it, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you are going to do Joe Rogan?
Yeah, I am.
Joe Rogan's the best in the game for sure. And I think, you know,
did Joe become so well known because of the UFC? And he does a great job with that, right? What was it that made Joe the best?
During COVID, you know, he was very outspoken on all the corruption going on during COVID. And I think that's personally when I started watching him a lot too. And just, he's an honest guy too, right?
He is.
So I think
good guy.
And I think you guys together would just
and he's got a good voice. That's important.
Yeah.
So, but Trump did say he's going, and that's a win. That dominates anyone Kamala Harris ever sat down with. She's supposed to be being interviewed on Fox News tomorrow, but
The Breakfast Club and Roly Poly Martin.
Yeah, right. Like, nah, Joe Rogan, that is major.
Chicken eating Sharpton.
Right. So everybody watches Joe Rogan, and We don't know when, but he's going to be on there. And we getting down to the wire. So
third assassination attempt.
I'm not going to play the whole 4 minutes. I'll play the first minute, and because they're saying it's not as serious as people making it out, but this didn't really make the major media news outlet. So let me just click play real quick.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming here today. I am Chad Bianco. I'm the sheriff of Riverside County, and we are obviously here to talk about an incident that occurred yesterday at the rally that former President Trump had in Coachella. Yesterday afternoon, before former President Trump arrived to the rally, we made contact with an individual on the inner perimeter of our operation at the rally. As you can imagine, this was a very large event. In regard to previous attempts on the former president's life, this was not something that we were taking lightly. We had a very detailed plan in place on how we were going to keep not only the former president safe, but all of the participants or the attendees of the rally safe. In general terms, I will tell you that we had a larger outside perimeter and then an inside perimeter that was completely controlled by us, by Riverside County Sheriff's deputies. In the investigation, obviously those identification documents were found, in addition to a loaded handgun and a shotgun. Obviously, this was before the former president arrived. The person was taken into custody. He was eventually booked into jail on those charges, and eventually he was released. He will have to further his court case in the future. Right now, we are actively engaged in working with Secret Service and the FBI to ensure that this person is followed up on and all of the information that they can gather. I can tell you that from my perspective, from a state law enforcement agency's perspective, the firearms charges is what we arrested him for and booked him on. Anything further will come from the federal government, and quite frankly, I don't know if we will be a part of that.
What they booked him on was having a 12-gauge shotgun that was legal where he came from in Nevada, and having a typical 9mm pistol, which in California is illegal because it has more than a 10-round capacity. And he had a magazine they made a great deal of in California, which carried more than 10 rounds, but hell, all of the people in the rest of the country and the non-dictatorial, non-crazy parts of the country, a whole lot of people own Glocks and various and sundry Glock magazines, so no big deal. And a lot of people own 12-gauge shotguns, no big deal. So they released him on a $5,000 bond on what in the rest of the country, most of the rest of the country, would not have been criminal charges, but there they were. And let's see what they did. I mean, it was good work to stop him. Apparently what happened is he had a forged VIP pass, and the license plates or tags on his vehicle were forged. It's interesting to make a fake license plate. So he had some fake ID. So good stop, but why don't we just get it a little bit more thoroughly investigated before we get all of the hype going on it, since he's out of jail now.
Okay. All right. One more question, just going back to the Black Men agenda. I meant to ask this question during that segment, but I wanted to ask you, are Black men disconnected from politics?
Because they haven't been offered much. Everything out there is women's rights.
Wait, I said are, not why, but you could.
Okay, yeah, we are, because we aren't offered anything. It's either gay, rainbow, it's women's rights. You're looking at a situation where only 28% of the last 20 years high school graduates have been male, and that isn't just Black folk. You're looking at a situation where only 32%
of the college undergrads are male, only 36% of the college grad students are male, and only 44% of the American workforce is male. You've had 50 plus years of take your daughter to work week and not one single take your son to work day. So it's kind of like, what the devil's going on? You know, men don't count anymore. And there is this thing, they have the hype about being a trans or whatever in the hell you do, where this warped idea of reality becomes normal for some kind of reason. They're trying to emasculate the country. They're trying to make every black man look like he's a pimp, drug dealer, burglar, thief, murderer, killer, gang member or something, and not hardworking. And even a former president, Bush boy Obama, got up and lied and said we were the worst in America when it came to paying child support, when actually, according to the Tennessee judicial conferences I went through for 30 years, we pay more regularly and on time than any other group demographic. So we get lied on a lot, and everybody tries to say, well, physically, black men are the hyper masculinity of the country, so let's attack them first, beat them down, and the rest will go down easy. But it doesn't quite work that way, and I don't think the rest of us, now that we have awakened, not woke, but awakened to the truth, are going to put up with it. I said long ago, back in 2016, vote for Trump, because do not vote on the lesser of two evils. Vote for Trump because he will heighten the contradictions. And if he gets in office or gets in contention, you will be finding out, hearing, seeing things that you ordinarily would not have paid attention to. And you're getting it.
Yeah.
And then the idea to take that into context with, we need to let these illegals in without it vetting them because we don't have enough people in the United States. Hell, you haven't been driving around these cities and seeing how crowded the freeways are these days, or the highways, or, you know, it used to be when I left Los Angeles 50 some years ago, more than 50, you know, the rush hour started at 4:30, went to 6 o'clock. Now the damn thing starts at 2:30 and goes to 7 something. They have 8 lanes in each direction and it's bumper to bumper.
All right.
But we don't have enough people. And remember, we need them as fresh new workers because there are too many unfilled jobs. But yet you turn around and you talk about all of the unemployment. What's wrong with you? And we have the penitentiary system to lock up surplus labor. The hell with, you know, reducing crime, just lock up the extra labor that's unusable. So which is it?
So one more thing, and then I'm gonna get to the super chats. It's Columbus Day, also known right now as
Native American Day,
Indigenous Day. So this is Kamala Harris this week speaking on that.
It is an honor, of course, to be with you this week as we celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, as we speak truth about our nation's history. Since 1934, every October, the United States has recognized the voyage of the European explorers who first landed on the shores of the Americas. But that is not the whole story. That has never been the whole story. Those explorers ushered in a wave of devastation for tribal nations, perpetrating violence, stealing land, and spreading disease. We must not shy away from this shameful past, and we must shed light on it and do everything we can to address the impact of the past on Native communities today. It is an honor, of course, to be with you this week.
Also, the Biden administration has allocated, I believe it was $84 million in grant money to the natives.
Okay, nice. That can not even buy one modern fighter plane, which a bunch are going to get shot down starting 2027 if the Chinese invade Taiwan. That won't even buy a first round fighter. A FA-18 Hornet, which is obsolete, even an F-16, which is way over the limit. The F-22s aren't in production anymore, so what the devil are you going to get? An F-35? An F-35 is $135 million, so you can't even buy one modern fighter plane. So what are we talking about here in terms of this? And even if she wasn't lying through her little weenie sucking teeth, she has absolutely no connection with America's past. Let's assuming that she's got some black ancestry. They're not American black ancestors. So just exactly why is she saying we?
Well, I don't know, maybe she's talking about Americans, but okay, so you're talking about how white people came here, killed off the Indians, and created what we have, the United States of America. So if they didn't do that, you wouldn't be in a position you are now. So I look at it, if you are going to say shame on you to a group of people, why are you in turn around and participate in their agenda? So if I say shame on you, I'm not going to participate in your agenda. I'm not going to be a part of your program. But she's a part of it. She's been a part of it all her professional life. Do you get what I'm saying? So you can sit up here and say, oh, these people were slaughtered, murdered, and those other people were bad, but these are the same people who created the Constitution, the Bill of Rights that you swore to uphold from the time you graduated from law school to now. Justice Department to award more than $84 million in grants to American Indian and Alaskan Native tribes. And like you said, that doesn't pay for fighter bomber planes. However, that small population of Native Americans is what, less than 5% of the population? But
look. A perspective. There are some Native American pilots in the United States Air Force, the United States Marine Corps, the United States Navy. And quite frequently, something goes wrong with the airplane. So what do? They reach up, boom, and they punch out, and there goes the $135 million, $111 million.
I'm not debating that. What I'm
saying,
I
know, but I'm just saying, really, how many fighter planes does the U.S. Air Force have in all of these folk that you are talking about trying to make whole for ripping them off? They aren't even worth one whole airplane.
Well, they've been getting millions of money via grants for decades.
Well, really? I actually have 3 ancestors who died on the Trail of Tears who weren't just remote aunts, uncles, or stuff like that. They were direct grandparents, great-great-grandparents of some of my ancestors who led to me directly. So I find it offensive, really offensive.
What? Which part?
The fact that they're going up here on this little cheap thing here. In other words, in the family tradition, there are some people that gave birth to some people that gave birth to somebody that gave birth to somebody that gave birth to me.
Let me
so in other words,
you on
you
that.
Chicken change little suckers. You want to give us 3/4 of one fighter plane to be split by all of us. You a piece of shit.
That same talking point is the same. It's the same analogy for Black Americans when it comes to Black American reparations.
Yeah, same is $84 million ain't getting it.
So if you are insulted by that, shouldn't you be insulted that the fact that our Congress and even the people sitting in the White House won't even utter the word reparations for Black?
Yeah, but they will. They're lying through their teeth. You know how badly they lie? 5 years ago, remember when they had those 2 weeks worth of circus hearings in Congress where the Black Caucus was having hearings to determine whether to appoint a committee to study reparations? Remember that?
And
2 weeks after that, the Black Caucus co-sponsored the introduction of what they had the audacity to term, quote, the Gay Reparations Act, that passed on the first voice vote without debate. And what it does was it was just a little chump change, $58 million, but it's been open every year since. And all it was doing was coming up with some slight damages for those gay couples who were denied insurance benefits because they were a gay couple rather than a normal couple. So anyway, but it's open-ended and no telling how much they'll wind up spending. But those same Negroes who could not utter the words Black reparations actually co-sponsored the act known as the Gay Reparations Act, the slimy, sleazy little sluts. And they are guilty as hell because they may look like us, but they're not representing us because damn near every one of them, except 4 or 5, are members of the Liberty Caucus, which is the LGBTQIA Congressional Caucus.
All right. I want to get
the
to
charade. So they uttered it.
Thank you, Avenge.
That they look like.
Love you, Queen Dana. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Thank you, Walter Wilburn. Keep up the good work, Dana. Appreciate you. Executive Suite MLE. Did you hear about Tish James? They are about to overturn that bogus case she had on Trump. Tish is running scared. She's done. Please shed light. I haven't heard about that. Who is Tish James? Have you heard about that, Judge?
I think she's one of the ones that was accusing him of some wrong, and she got a judgment on it.
Okay, good.
Not sure. That's, to me, that's that Hollywood stuff, and I don't like that salacious nonsense.
And thank you again, Ira, for the lovely super chat. I'm trying to Google this.
You already had this one up there.
Yeah. I'm Googling.
Good point.
Wait. You meant Letitia James? Who is Tish James?
Letitia.
Yeah, you mean okay, so you call it Tish for short, Letitia, because I put in Tish James and Letitia James come up. So what was it? Did you hear?
Oh, the appellate courts in New York roasted.
Yeah, they're about to overturn her case. Okay.
Yeah, she's about to get crucified. And they said they interrupted her representative, was just got through saying a name. And your honors, please wait, excuse me, before you get going, you might want to answer this. And they laid it out. And what it was, has this statute ever been used for this purpose before? And who is the victim here? Mm-hmm. You know, these are people that know more about this than anybody else in the country. So they don't think anything got done wrong to them. This is the stance. So what are you doing here?
Right.
And they just roasted her.
Bart,
I sent you an article on that.
YouTube don't like Operation Aurora. Yeah, they don't like much of anything. Misibon, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm saying Misibon or whatever. But I know your name is Michael. According to the art of the deal, you mean the art of dialogue, Trump won't rent to welfare cases. Oh, no. I'm sorry. According to the art of the deal, you mean his book. Sorry, my mistake. According to the art of the deal, Trump won't rent to welfare cases. More white people are on welfare. Great point.
Yeah, well, why do you want them in your apartment building and you got to guarantee?
He doesn't want Section 8. Yeah, he doesn't want Section 8.
No, who wants to be next to Section 8? Get ready, get your stuff together. I understand if you got on hard times, but don't stay there. And meanwhile, by the way, remember on X Space a few weeks ago, we actually were interviewing somebody
was on there who was black, and he and his dad apparently had stayed in the Trump property. So
Oh, I
that's
think
a lie.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a lie about he won't rent to black folks.
It's he wants to make his real estate money off luxury. Now, there is a lot of money in affordable housing. It is. And people don't understand that there's a lot of money in shit. So when they say these shitholes, blah, 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 the reason why they're shitholes because you have the scamming, thieving, greedy politicians that sit in city hall in these cities scamming and pocketing a lot of money. So it is a lot of money in affordable housing, but Trump wanted to go luxury. He wanted to guarantee. So yeah, and you're absolutely right. There are more white people on welfare, and people don't understand, especially in New York City, there are a majority of white people who have affordable housing, who have Section 8, and they never move because they don't want to lose it. So if Trump accepted that, it would still be majority white because they'll be the first ones in line to live in his apartment complex, which in turn, right? Okay, here goes a scenario. Say if he did accept affordable housing in Manhattan, in New York City, it would be majority white people applying. So he could have a legal case against him, especially a civil rights violation, because they said, well, where you don't let black people who are on Section 8, where are their applications? You don't have residence for poor black people with Section 8. You have all the poor white people. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it could be
I
the
mean,
same scenario.
it's like lifestyle. You see, you live in certain areas, the lawns are kept up, they're watered, trash is kept up, the houses aren't dilapidated and running down. Nobody's sharing their music from 4 blocks away. Nobody's out there in the middle of the yard getting drunk or a car jacked up on some milk crates with no wheels on it, 2 of them out there with grass growing around it. You don't have that kind of thing. And see, you have the money, you don't want to be with that.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, it's like, I'm sorry, Section 8 does not go in a place that's got rent starting at 10 grand a month.
Right. And and if I'm paying 10 grand, I don't want Section 8 around me. I'm sorry.
No.
I don't want to live in a
Improve
mixed income building. I just don't.
Yeah, get
I
yourself together.
don't even want where I live at, because people own a home, so they may rent it out. I don't even want them renting out to Section 8. I just don't. I don't want them over here. I'm sorry. Thank you, Ira, again. If she wants to really get our attention, give us the same financial gifts the federal government has given the Jews. Absolutely.
She's married to one.
Oh, yes.
She's married to a white Jew, and she wants us to vote against a white man who will do something for us because she's black. Well, if you can marry somebody white, then we can vote for somebody white and feel absolutely no guilt about it. You giving up the nookie, we giving up the vote.
Right. Anomalous, thank you so much for the super sticker. One old guy's opinion. I can't vote for a party with a platform like a Democrat Party. Transgender and abortion are evil.
Okay.
Well, and I respect that. However,
I agree 100%.
Well, however, trans people have a right to have an agenda.
Yeah, they do, but they don't have to be.
Let me just say this. Let me say this. And every group of people have a right to exercise their constitutional rights and to exercise their political maneuvering power or organizational power to get public policies passed that's going to benefit them. Every group has that.
Yes, 100% in
so
agreement.
I'm not going to say, well, again, the problem that I would say is evil is you only focus on LGBTQ. That's your whole focus, and you want to convert everyone. It's like a cult, not the individuals, but it's like a cult. That's evil. Abortion. I am pro-choice. The government should not dictate my health. That should be between me, my partner, and my doctor. But I get your point, and I respect it.
Well, what I'd have to say is the rainbow has an absolute right to work the political process. They've been doing it brilliantly, so has the Democratic Party, but I wouldn't vote for the bastards. So, you know, it's my right to be against them as long as I don't go out and do some of the things that some of these Democrats are advocating that we turn to, that the Nazis did 90 years ago, and you know where that led to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I find it strange. She's married to a Jew and she supports these folk, the methods that these folk use to exterminate the ancestors of her.
The police don't say that word with no other group. Let's move on. Stop.
We can't do that.
No, but not. So let's move on.
No, but we can't do that because the First Amendment's getting violated.
It's
so
not,
more
fine. Dub right side gifted 5 the Road Data membership. Thank you, appreciate it. One old guy's opinion: deep state cutting the judge's fee. You mean my fee? Absolutely. It's maybe because of what the judge is saying, or just his presence. But yeah, Dub right side became a member. Thank you so much. One old guy's opinion: Kamala with a Jezebel spirit in churches, speeches like Fannie Willis. Fannie thinks her title supersedes U.S. Congress. Delusional Jezebel woman. Exactly. She really do believe that. That's why she had the audacity to send Jim Jordan, who is the chair of the Judiciary Committee. Don't question him. Don't question my man, basically. One old guy's opinion again: Fannie sounds like she got her law degree from a cereal box. Coco Jezebel.
Cocoa Puffs.
He calls her Coco Jezebel. Diane says Border Patrol officials are behind President Trump. Yep. One old guy's opinion: Kamala says we because she has a mouse in her pocket.
Ooh,
with
batteries.
Oh. Okay, so maybe that's what he was talking about. Michael, again, my statement is to debunk the race accusations people put on Trump. Exactly, I know. Exactly, Michael. That was that was a perfect analogy. Appreciate that. And thank you so much again. All right. That's it.
This is going to be a pivotal election. I've never seen one like this in my whole life.
Pivotal in what way? Let's just finish off with this. Let's just have this quick discussion, because this is the problem that I'm having. Pivotal. I'm gonna ask you this question, but let me ask you a question, then make my statement, and then you answer the question. Pivotal in what way? Because this is the problem that I have. And how can someone who was not elected to be a presidential running person in a primary, you were not elected, you were placed there, you cut the line. So pivotal in what way?
What's that? And see that too, but that's part of it. They're trying to get rid of the First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment. They're trying to abolish due process under the Bill of Rights and under the 14th Amendment as it applies to states. They're trying to deal with pushing an abnormality, because you can't tell me it's normal what they're trying to push. They're trying to victimize the children, destroy the traditional human nuclear family. They're trying to destroy manhood, womanhood, childhood, and substitute some kind of mixed up, homogenized mess that's not what Mother Nature put out there. They're trying to deal with making the big lie the way things are done, telling a lie long enough and loud enough, you can get anybody to believe it. They are corrupt. Everywhere they take control, you can count on the fact that the government will no longer be for the people who live in the area, but for the personal enrichment of a number of their perverted followers. They will not do anything for the people that have a right to expect some representation from them. They are trying to impose what is essentially fascism in what is, in fact, a republic, a democratic republic, wherein the elected officials are elected democratically for the most part, but the government form is a republic. It is one that is an experiment that's ongoing, it's doing well, but they want to destroy it for something that deals with their cowardice. They are pushed by a philosophy that is for the first time in human history is attempting to impose a cult that does not seek to build character. Remember, they are against guilt and shame, so no one has any individual personal control over doing those things that are honorable, dignified, that are called upon as dutiful, that establish purpose, cause, morality, ethics, sense of purpose, that deal with making where you live a better, safer, more secure place filled with economic prosperity. They are cowards. They run. They don't want to deal with courage and bravery. They want to negate those things. And I don't know what they intend, except they envision humanity becoming a bunch of children, I guess, with AI taking care of them benevolently instead of turning into Skynet. But it's amazing what they're trying to do.
So one more thing.
In other words, they are a hideous abomination to the human experience.
Yeah. So one more, real quick, this person made a comment on the video I posted, and it was a really good comment. I uploaded a clip when we was talking about the Dixiecrats stayed in the Democrat Party. So he commented, he said, slightly off topic, but why was the Civil Rights Act of 1964 written when there was a Civil Rights Act written for our ancestors on the books already? Let me finish. The Civil Rights Act of 1866. Why didn't they just amend the first one?
That wasn't sufficient. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 was actually superseded by the 14th Amendment. And then the 15th, which they quickly turned into the genesis of the development and the rise of the American Economic Corporation, which you see when they talk about corporations are fictitious people created by state action. There was a need for it, and LBJ was brilliant because he posed it as a defense bill, and he threatened a lot of the Democrats who were against it, the Southern Democrats from Georgia, from North Carolina, South Carolina, etc., that if they did not support it, he was going to get their constituents convinced that they were, quote, commie-loving bastards, unquote, and they'd never hold another office again in their lives if they went against it. It was a brilliant move. So the Dixiecrats, I think, had one person changed parties on them who was an office holder on the national level. There were some on the local level who went over, but they quickly morphed into we will want you to support Democrats on the national level, but on the local level, whatever in the devil you want. And they haven't changed. You actually had a lot of Republicans who, well, people who got newly embraced by the Republican Party, who left the Republican Party to come over and join the Dixiecrats in the Democratic Party. One of them is Hillary Rodham, aka Hillary Rodham Clinton, who was a Goldwater girl, a cheerleader when she was in high school for Barry Goldwater, who ran against LBJ. He's a Republican senator. She was chairwoman of the Young Republicans at Wesley All-Girls University for her sophomore, junior, and senior years. I guess she had to get some D from Bill Clinton when she got to Yale Law School before she switched over to being a Democrat. But you have a lot of Republicans who switched to being Democrats because that Dixiecrat thing suited them.
Okay. All right. I just thought that was a really good question. I really appreciate him asking that question.
Very good. Very good,
Yeah.
job.
I mean, that was a good question to ask and to have you answer that. So appreciate the question. Actually, I should have got the person name. I don't feel like going back, but whatever. All right. That's it. Good show. Next time, be on time. You want that CPT time, honey. You
Well,
too
it wasn't.
old to be doing that.
I was talking to some
I don't
cops.
care.
No, I did. I lost track of the time.
I know you did. CPT. That's why I said CPT
It's not
time.
CP. I wasn't.
Do you know what that means?
I know colored people time, colored people time. But anyway, we've been using it for a lot longer than my life. Now.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Thank you to One West Bank for the Cash App earlier, and thank you to Icy Cat for the Cash App as well. I just want to acknowledge that. And yeah. All right.
I think what it is I talked to a series of policemen, and their dilemma was, what happens if Harris and them get in place and they start talking about violation of the Fourth Amendment, search and seizure? They don't really expect local police to cooperate with them on this, because they're not going to go break into Uncle John's and Cousin Bobby's and Brother Bill's place for this. They just said it's going to be a revolt.
Okay.
So what are they going to do if their duties conflict with what the Constitution says?
Oh, let me ask you. So that committee hearing, is that going to be live? Possibly.
It might. It'll be on C-SPAN, surely.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Say good night, Judge.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Peace.
And don't forget barbecue.
Yeah. Oh shit. Wait a minute. Let me play the commercial. I always play the commercial with the upload videos anyway, but yes, get the barbecue sauce.
Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor.
Law firms will take this as a retainer.
What? It must be a law firm where they hungry as hell. Now you gonna help me with this parole I'm dealing with?
Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor. With one taste of our premium blends of all-natural ingredients, herbs, and spices, you'll fall in love with meat all over again. Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce collection is made up of 2 zesty flavors, original and spicy. There's only one way to bring order back to barbecuing. Just add Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce and seasoning, and you be the judge.
And good night to you. See you guys. Probably do an X Space tomorrow. Don't know yet, but that's usually Tuesday evening. See you guys Wednesday for Dana with the Data Live. And then Thursday, again, with Judge Joe Brown, Man Up Thursday. All right. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Good night. Bye.